Take a look at your hand for a second. I don't mean just glancing at your watch or checking your nails. I mean really look at it. There is a strange, rhythmic thrumming happening just under the surface of your skin, a series of mechanical pressures and electrical pulses that are so quiet you've learned to tune them out entirely. You are, in every physical sense, a walking, talking, thinking steam engine. Except instead of coal, you run on a very specific kind of chemical sunshine we call glucose. And just like any complex machine, you have a master mechanic sitting right behind your lower ribs, managing the fuel lines and the pressure valves. This mechanic is your liver, and most of the time, it's the most efficient logistics manager in the known universe. But there is a specific moment, a tiny glitch in the matrix of your metabolism, where this master mechanic simply downs tools. There is a 20-minute window where your liver essentially stops processing sugar. And understanding why that happens is like finding the secret blueprints to the human body. To understand this, we have to look at the body as a tinkerer would. Think of yourself as a series of wet, salty pipes. Your heart is the pump, and your blood is the hydraulic fluid carrying the fuel. But blood isn't just liquid, it's a delivery service. When you eat something, say a piece of fruit or a slice of toast, you are essentially pouring high-grade combustible material into your stomach. Your gut breaks that down into simple sugars, and suddenly your pipes are flooded with fuel. This is where the thermodynamics of the body gets interesting. If you have too much sugar in your blood, it's like having too much pressure in a steam boiler. If you don't vent it or store it, the boiler explodes. Or, in biological terms, the sugar starts sticking to things it shouldn't, like the delicate lining of your blood vessels, turning your flexible wiring into brittle, crunchy glass. To prevent this, your body employs a double-entry bookkeeping system, insulin and glucagon. These are the on and off switches for your fuel storage, the golden number 4.0 grams. That is the total amount of sugar circulating in the blood of a healthy adult at any given time, about 1 teaspoon. If you double that to 2 teaspoons, you are technically diabetic. The margin for error in your biological engine is incredibly thin. Now, let's talk about the liver itself. If the heart is the pump, the liver is the massive warehouse and refinery. It's a 3-pound chemical plant that works 24/7. When sugar levels rise, the liver grabs the excess and packs it away into a dense, starchy storage unit called glycogen. It's like taking loose piles of paper and crinkling them into tight balls so you can fit more in the drawer. But here's the catch: the liver isn't just a passive bucket. It is a highly sensitive sensor that is constantly listening to the electrical and chemical chatter of the rest of the body. It's trying to solve a puzzle. Are we running away from a lion right now, or are we taking a nap? If we are running, the liver needs to dump fuel into the blood. If we are napping, it needs to suck fuel out. The problem arises when we send the liver conflicting signals, creating a mechanical deadlock, similar to what happens when you try to shift a car into reverse while moving at 60 miles per hour. This brings us to that mysterious 20-minute window. It usually happens about 40 minutes into a period of intense, sustained physical exertion. Imagine you're out for a long run or a vigorous bike ride. For the first half hour, your body is using the easy fuel, the sugar already floating in your blood, and the small local caches stored in your muscles. But as those local tanks run dry, the muscles start screaming for more. They send a chemical SOS to the liver. The liver, being the dutiful warehouse manager, starts unpacking the glycogen balls and shipping out fresh glucose. It's a beautiful, synchronized flow of energy. But then, you do something the liver wasn't expecting. You take a hit of pure sugar. Maybe it's a sports gel, a sugary drink, or a candy bar. You think you're helping the engine, but you've actually just thrown a wrench into the gears. This is the moment the switchover lag begins. The golden number 20 minutes. This is the standard duration of metabolic inertia, the time it takes for the liver to recalculate its chemical priority after a sudden influx of external sugar during heavy exercise. During these 20 minutes, something fascinating and slightly terrifying happens. Your insulin levels spike because of the sugar you just ate. Insulin is the signal that says, store fuel. Meanwhile, your muscles are still screaming, burn fuel. The liver finds itself in a state of total confusion. It receives the insulin signal and immediately stops releasing its stored glycogen. It literally shuts the warehouse doors. However, because you are exercising intensely, your body's internal plumbing is diverted toward the muscles and away from the digestive system. This means the sugar you just ate is sitting in your stomach, unable to be absorbed quickly into the bloodstream. You are now in a fuel gap. The liver has stopped providing internal fuel because it thinks external fuel is coming, but the external fuel hasn't arrived yet. For these 20 minutes, your blood sugar levels can actually crash lower than they were before you ate the sugar. Athletes call this bonking or hitting the wall, but it's really just a timing error in the body's fluid dynamics. Think of it like a city's power grid. If the main power plant sees a huge surge of solar energy coming in from a new farm, it might shut down its coal turbines to prevent the lines from melting. But if a cloud suddenly covers that solar farm before the coal turbines can spin back up, the whole city goes dark. In your body, this darkness feels like heavy limbs, a foggy brain, and a sudden, desperate urge to sit down. This is physics in action, the conservation of energy and the reality of signal latency. Your wet wiring. The nervous system moves signals at about 250 miles per hour, but the chemical mail, for hormones like insulin, moves at the speed of your blood flow, which is much, much slower. The 20-minute window is the time it takes for the chemical mail to be delivered, read, and acted upon by the liver's cellular machinery. The golden number 150. This is the ratio of your liver's weight to your total body weight. Despite being only 2% of your mass, it consumes over 20% of your body's resting energy to maintain these complex bookkeeping operations. While the liver is sitting in this state of suspended animation, the rest of your body begins a frantic search for alternative power. This is where the tinkerer aspect of biology really shines. If the sugar isn't available, the body starts looking at its secondary batteries, fat. But fat is like a heavy crude oil. It's hard to burn and requires a lot of oxygen. It's a slow burning fire. This transition from the bright flame of sugar to the slow ember of fat is what we call metabolic flexibility. Some people have engines that can switch back and forth effortlessly, while others have engines that stall during the 20-minute window. The difference often comes down to how we treat our pipes on a daily basis. If we are constantly flooding the system with sugar, the liver's sensors become dull. It's like living next to a noisy airport. Eventually, you stop hearing the planes. This is insulin resistance, where the liver becomes deaf to the signal to stop producing sugar, leading to a system that is always under too much pressure. But let's look closer, down at the level of the individual cell. Inside the liver, there are millions of tiny engines called mitochondria. These are the true source code of life. They take the sugar and the oxygen you breathe and turn them into a tiny molecular battery called ATP. Everything you have ever done, every poem you've written, every kiss you've shared, every step you've taken, was powered by the explosions of these tiny batteries. When the liver hits that 20-minute window of inactivity, these mitochondria are essentially idling. They are waiting for instructions. It's a moment of profound biological silence. And in that silence, we can see the deep connection between our internal world and the laws of the universe. The way your liver handles sugar is governed by the same second law of thermodynamics that dictates the cooling of stars. Everything tends toward disorder, and life is simply the act of using energy to hold that disorder at bay for a little while. The golden number 0.1 seconds. This is the perceptual lag, the time it takes for your brain to process a sensation. By the time you feel the energy from a sugar cube, your liver has already been reacting to the chemical signal for several minutes. As the 20-minute window closes, the liver finally resolves its conflict. The sugar from your stomach finally enters the blood, the insulin levels stabilize, and the warehouse begins to operate in harmony with the delivery trucks. The engine smooths out. You feel that second wind that runners often talk about. This isn't magic, it's just the physics of the system reaching a new equilibrium. It's the sound of the machine finding its rhythm again. We often think of our bodies as being us, as if we are the pilots of this craft. But in reality, we are more like passengers on a highly automated, incredibly ancient vessel that has been tuned over billions of years to survive. We don't have to tell our liver how to process sugar, we just have to provide the right conditions and stay out of the way of its internal logic. In the end, this 20-minute glitch isn't a flaw in the design. It's a testament to the complexity of the balancing act. Every second of every day, your body is performing a trillion-part symphony of fluid dynamics, electrical engineering, and chemical synthesis. You are a walking laboratory, a miracle of thermodynamics that manages to stay warm in a cold universe. When you understand that your liver pauses because it's trying to be too efficient, it changes how you look at your own biology. You aren't just a collection of organs, you are a flow. You are a process. You are a temporary gathering of stardust that has figured out how to turn sugar into thought. And the next time you feel that mid-workout slump or that sudden wave of fatigue, just remember it's just your master mechanic taking 20 minutes to double, check the books, and ensure the engine keeps running for another day in this beautiful, massive machine we call the universe.